The chapter on emotions is broken into two modules. This first module is understanding some of the theory behind emotion. So what are emotions? We all know that we feel them, and they play an important role in motivating and focusing our behavior and our interactions. Basically, when you experience an emotion, you're combining some kind of physiological changes. So your body will change during strong emotions, and things like heart rate, perspiration, tense muscles, raised blood pressure, all of those things can be part of it. Sometimes those changes actually will give you a clue to your emotions. You'll notice that you're clenching your jaw, and that tells you that you're feeling tense, that sort of thing. But emotions also include cognitive interpretations. So our mind plays an important role. Very often bodily components of emotions are similar. So being scared and being excited have some very similar changes in the body. But it's the mind that helps differentiate them and gives interpretations to what's happening. It's important to realize that our feelings are often apparent by those observable changes. So you may be thinking that people don't know that you're experiencing an emotion. They may be feeling or maybe seeing that feeling displayed right on your body. So for example, if you're in a meeting and someone's neck starts to turn red, you may have seen it happen, starts at the bottom and goes to the top, you know that they're either upset in some way or angry or flustered, frustrated. Seeing colors start to rise in people's neck or in their face is not usually a good thing, right? So they may not even be aware that they're changing color. So usually we think that our nonverbal behavior is a reaction to an emotional state, but sometimes your nonverbal behavior can actually cause emotions. So for example, if you are standing or presenting yourself in a sort of tense body stance, you'll start to feel tense. Nonverbal is a very powerful way of expressing emotion, and so is verbal expression. The things you say and the intensity, the tone, all of those things. So you need to be very careful about how you communicate about feelings. It's a powerful message. So at the end of this presentation, we'll be talking about a bit about emotional intelligence. The ability to communicate clearly about your feelings is an important part of that. You should be aware of the intensity of your emotions and have the vocabulary to describe them. And if you can't express emotion, you're either unable or you're reluctant to do it. It's often associated with experiencing depression or unhappiness. It doesn't help you to keep things bottled up inside. The way that people talk to children about emotions has a strong influence on their development. And for us as people working with children, this is equally true, that it's important for us. There are two distinct styles. One is emotion coaching and one is emotion dismissing. So if you encourage children to reflect upon their emotions, talk about their emotions in a constructive way, so that would be emotion coaching, they'll report greater self-confidence, increased well-being, and more positive relationships with other children. If you dismiss emotion, children don't have the opportunity to learn and to use their emotions or channel them in positive ways. There are lots of influences on emotional expression. So as you read through the chapter, you'll get more detail on these. But you know, part of it is personality, biologically, who we are born to be. Some babies from day one tend to experience strong emotion, maybe easily frustrated, easily upset. Other babies have a placid nature, right? Less apt to have emotional responses. Culture, of course, is really a strong influence, and that isn't just culture in terms of society or ethnicity, it's also the culture of your family. So it influences not only how you express your emotions, but also how you interpret them. So your biological sex and gender associations, they can be the best predictor of your ability to detect and interpret emotional expression. And research, again, you'll find out more in your text, but really does say that females have an advantage in being able to pick up emotion and to read it accurately. There's also social conventions. Sometimes you feel a lot of pressure in terms of the places that it's okay to share feelings about, the topics that, or the types of feelings that are okay to express, um, all of that. So there are social conventions about the expression of emotion that we are influenced by. And also social roles. Sometimes people will, an example would be that if you are in a profession where you see a lot of people who are injured, so if you're an ambulance, someone who works on an ambulance, you may actually in some ways lose your ability to really feel deeply or feel shocked about those things, or because you've experienced it so often, but also you've probably found ways of kind of building a barrier around feeling strong emotion in order to be able to do your job. So that doesn't mean you don't feel it, but you handle it or manage it more to a greater degree than people who aren't faced with it so much, right? So your social role, what role do you play in this world? Obviously, people who are raising children or working in childcare, our role encourages us to really connect and associate with the feelings of others. Sometimes fear of disclosure can influence your emotional expression. Putting out that emotion, sharing that emotion, but then feeling vulnerable that now that person knows how you feel and might use it against you. And also, an important one that happens with children is emotional contagion. Sometimes you'll see children, one gets giddy or one is excited, and the whole group starts to act kind of crazy. So there's a powerful influence on the emotions of the group if a powerful emotion is being experienced and expressed by one person. I think in some ways this explains some of the behavior when a sports team wins, but kind of crazy things happen afterwards. Is that people get caught up in that moment. So your activities folder for this module includes information on EQ, the emotional quotient. That's emotional intelligence, as I mentioned before. So you'll be exploring some links and thinking about where you might be at in terms of your EQ, and it helps you to identify areas that you could work on to enhance your ability to communicate with others and interact with others in relation to emotion. So the next module, that'll move you toward the topics of the next module, which are really less general about emotion, but more specific about the emotions that you feel.